Good morning. I'm John Weiler with the Sovereign Passage Assembly, and this is our daily brief for November 28th, 2017. We're going to pick up with our study of Parashah Vayetze, which means, and he left, and the Parsha as a whole is Bere'shiyth, or Genesis, chapter 28, verse 10 to chapter 32, verse 3. And we're focusing now on Yaakov, and he's in the land of Haran, living with his uncle Lavan, which is his mother's, Rivka's, brother. And he has just been deceived by Lavan into marrying the eldest of his daughters, Leah, and he had worked for 7 years under the assumption and the agreement that he would marry Rachel, who is the younger, but it didn't turn out that way. Okay, so when the 7 years were complete, they had this kind of a ceremony, and Yaakov could not see that Leah was the one that he was marrying until it was all said and done. And then he goes to Lavan and says, what have you done? Okay, I mean, what have you done to me? He says, did I not serve you for Rachel? Wherefore, why then have you beguiled me? Okay, or dealt falsely with me? And he says, Lavan replies, it must not be so done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. Okay, that's something that, that reply there, we should pay attention to. Because right now, we are studying, we're learning the beginning of the nation, or the group as a whole, of the upright of El. Okay, Yashar El, Yasharel. Okay, and then we get it today as Israel, or Yisrael, but Yashar El is more fitting as the name versus of Yaakov, of the upright of El versus one who struggles with El. Okay. So the upright, Yashar, okay, that's who we are striving to be as we're seeking righteousness today. Okay, through the wonderful gift from YAHUAH through Yahushua HaMashiach to repent now and to come back and to be the upright. Okay, walk upright. So walk in the way of YAHUAH. Walk as the Mashiach, the Messiah, Yahushua HaMashiach did. So to pay attention, though, to what Lavan's reply is that it must not be so done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. It must not be so done in our country. Lavan knows of YAHUAH, knows of him, but Lavan does not follow YAHUAH. All right, that's something to pay close attention to in the nations that we live in today. Okay, so how many of us, which is all of us, did not have some sort of concept of God, okay, and some sort of concept of Jesus? But did we follow and serve them? And the answer is no, we didn't. We did not. We had our own concept, which is human-based, but our human-based concept, it must not be done so in our country. Okay, that concept there is full of lies and full of destruction. Okay, so the words that we would speak, intending them to be loving, were actually words of destruction, because the words of man that walk contrary to the ways of Yah are destructive. Okay, and the words of Yah are healing, or completeness. Okay, or causing completeness. So we have to look first of all here what was going on, because we're looking at the history here. And then we're going to take the lessons that we are to be learning from the way of YAHUAH and apply them to our lives. Okay, so now we have lives, a relationship. And now this relationship may have already been tattered, okay, or spoiled in a sense with how their daily interactions were, as far as not being able to fully trust each other. Okay, Lavan and Yaakov. But for sure, for right here, this broke the relationship, because he lied completely, and Yaakov came in unto Leah to where the relationship where the two became one. Okay, that's something that we have to pay close attention here, is what was really happening. We have wedding ceremonies today, and we go to church and we stand in front of a pastor and he proclaims we're now married, and then we put rings on each other's fingers. Okay? But here, with the consummation of the relationship, is where the two become one, where they're joined together. And that is completion. Because we look where how man was created in the image of Elohim, and then woman was created from man. So the completeness of the creation of man is when man and woman come together. And so here, Yaakov, we see Yaakov being a follower of the way of YAHUAH, is carrying the birthright. So he is following the way of YAHUAH. So divorce, or the breaking of where the two have become one, is not an option. And we see that very clearly, because Lavan gives him the option to fulfill Leah's week, the week that is the custom of the newlyweds, and then we will give you this also for the service, which you shall serve me yet another 7 years. So he says, you work for me for another 7 years, and then you can have Rachel. Okay, and Rachel is given to him, and then he works another 7 years. But also what is given are the two handmaids too. So out of nothing came 4 relationships into the life of Yaakov. Okay, and these are not just relationships that are casual. Okay, these are relationships of extreme importance, because they bear life. They carry the creation of life. Now, this is another thing that we have to pay close attention to, and we learn a lot. We learn everything out of the instructions of YAHUAH, okay, on how the importance of what is occurring between this, what we call a sexual encounter, or having sex today. We're actually, when the two are becoming one, we have 2 life-giving pieces, all right, that are incredibly important, because we were called to YAHUAH through Yahusha from the foundation of the world. Okay, we've been studying this in the letters from Kepha, the rock. On this rock, my called out assembly will be built. Okay, and we learn there through all the apostles, because they have the understanding from in the beginning. All right, when Yahusha HaMashiach, the foreknowledge of YAHUAH for calling us through Yahusha HaMashiach. Okay, the foreknowledge, that's something we got to think about. Predestination and things like this. Well, are we predestined to follow the way of Yah? Are we predestined to not follow the way of Yah? Well, that's a tough one to answer. And in fact, I don't have those answers. Okay, I personally do not have those answers. We have the answers in the Word of Yah. Okay, but that particular, I don't know. I don't know how that works. My inclination is to say no, because everything was created here with choice. Every creation has a choice, all right, from moment to moment to moment, to include the spiritual beings, the messengers of Yah, the angels. Okay, because what we call angels, those are messengers. They have had a choice, because we see Hasatan. We see the creation of the fallen spirits, what are called the unclean spirits today, Unclean is actually the word tameh, and tameh is incomplete or broken. It's also put to us as ceremonially unclean, okay? Unclean for ceremony, but that does not fit, okay, as far as the usage of the word in relation to these spiritual beings, okay? We call them demons. And if we believe if we believe the word of Yah and believe that Yahushua is the son of Elohim, everywhere that Yahushua went, these unclean spirits cried out just in his presence because he is the light. And he expelled them. And it seemed that everybody that came into contact had an unclean spirit on them. Okay? Not everybody, but it seems that there's a wide variety or a large number of people that had that. Okay, but these are the results of the angels who have gone astray. Okay, the demons in this world. So, choices, the choice. Okay, these spiritual beings that were created as those to minister or help directly Elohim, a different creation than man, who is made in the image of Elohim, they too have choice. Okay, so to go back to, and I'm kind of digressing here, but the predestination, because we get this in these letters that we're studying right now, that we were, through the foreknowledge of YAHUAH, through Yahushua HaMashiach, okay, that we are called out to him. The concept of, well, first of all, what kind of God makes people like that? Well, one that we make up, okay? One that human beings make up. YAHUAH does not do that, okay? YAHUAH has made us with choice. We have the choice to follow or not to follow. So, with that concept in mind, if we have that understanding that even though we have been the called out, okay, we also learn that if the righteous scarcely achieve salvation, what will happen with those who, the wicked and those who sin, okay, or break the relationship. We have a choice here. We have choices in everything. Yaakov had a choice. He could have divorced Leah, put her away, and then taken Rachel, okay, but he did not do that. So here we have 4 relationships, okay, 4 life-bringing relationships that have extremely large consequences, okay, world-changing consequences, all right, both bad and both very, very good, because our Mashiach comes from these points right here, Mashiach, whom gives the opportunity to the entire world, okay, the lost sheep of the house of Yasharel, the entire world to become Yasharel. The entire world very well could be, well, we're very well linked to Abraham, okay, who is the father of Yitzhak, who is the father of Yaakov, okay, today. So how many thousands of years have passed from this point? How many generations have spread amongst the world, okay? But the genetic link means nothing, all right? It comes down to the spiritual orientation. To be Yasharel is to guard the way of YAHUAH. It's to be holy as he is holy, to be as he calls us to be, which is like him, okay? So let's go back then here to our instruction for our lesson for this day, and we're going to focus on our relationships here. We're going to see the children here of the 2 sisters and then their handmaids, all right, their helpers that all kind of come together and intertwine as far as relationships here. So let's start. We ended on chapter 29, verse 31, and we're going to read through verse 43. We're going to end chapter 30. Okay, so, and when YAHUAH saw that Leah was hated, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. And Leah conceived and bore a son, and she called his name Reuben. For she said, surely YAHUAH has looked upon my affliction. Now therefore my man will love me. And she conceived again and bore a son, and said, because YAHUAH has heard that I was hated, he has therefore given me this son also. And she called his name Shimon. And she conceived again and bore a son, and said, now this time will my man be joined unto me, because I have borne him 3 sons. Therefore was his name called Levi. And she conceived again and bore a son, and she said, now I will praise YAHUAH. Therefore she called his name Yehudah, and left bearing. Okay, so we'll stop there for a moment here. We'll just kind of catch up who the sons that were born. Reuben, meaning see ye a son. And that's Strong's H7205. And I'm going off of the notes that are available on the Sovereign Passage website if you want to use them. And she says, surely YAHUAH has looked upon my affliction. Now therefore my man will love me. Okay, pay attention to that. And Shimon is the second, and that means hearing. And that's Strong's 8095. And Leah says, because YAHUAH has heard that I was hated, he has therefore given me this son also. And then she has Levi, or Levi. That means attached, and that's Strong's H3878. And he says, or she says, now this time will my man be joined unto me, because I have borne him 3 sons. And then the fourth that she has is Yehudah, or Judah, and that means celebrated, and that's Strong's H3063, and Leah says, now I will praise YAHUAH. Okay, so what do we see here as far as the relationship with Yaakov and Leah? Well, the second son, she says, Shimon, now this time will my man be joined unto me. Okay, where the 2 become 1. Now, this is a physical act, but it's also a spiritual act. Our relationships with our significant other, okay, I'm a man with my wife, okay, if you're a woman with your husband, they should reflect our relationship with YAHUAH, all right, and in this case through Yahusha. Okay, we are the bride of the Lamb, Yahushua HaMashiach. But what we see here is that there seems to be a break, that completeness between Yaakov and Leah was not there, all right? And it's put to us here as hated, okay, in verse 31. Okay, chapter 30, verse 1, it said, and when Rachel saw that she bore Yaakov no children, Rachel envied her sister, and said unto Yaakov, give me children, or else I die. And Yaakov's anger was kindled against Rachel. And he said, am I in Elohim's stead, who has withheld from you the fruit of the womb? And she said, behold my maid Bilhah, go in unto her, and she shall bear upon my knees, that I may also have children by her. And she gave him Bilhah her handmaid to be his woman, and Yaakov went in unto her. And Bilhah conceived and bore Yaakov a son. And Rachel said, Elohim has judged me, and has also heard my voice, and has given me a son. Therefore called she the name Dan, okay, Dan or Don. And Bilhah, Rachel's maid, conceived again, and bore Yaakov a second son. And Rachel said, with great wrestlings have I wrestled with my sister, and I have prevailed. And she called his name Naphtali. And when Leah saw that she had left bearing, she took Zilpah, her maid, and gave her Yaakov to be his woman. And Zilpah, Leah's maid, bore Yaakov a son. And Leah said, a troop comes, and she called his name God. Okay? Gad is what it looks like to us who read English, but it's actually pronounced God. And Zilpah, Leah's maid, bore Yaakov a second son. And Leah said, happy am I, for the daughters will call me blessed. And she called his name Asher. Okay, so Bilhah and Zilpah are not Yaakov's wives, in a sense. Okay, they're not his woman. his women are Leah and Rachel. So they are giving these two handmaids, their servants, in their stead to have children, okay, by their husband, Yaakov. Now, just so we're clear with this, and we will learn this later as we start to study the Torah, the instructions given through Moshe to the nation or the children of this group right now being born, this is not to be done, okay? It's not to be, we're not to marry sisters, is what it's stated here. We were going to talk about today how in the beginning it was not so, that we divorce, okay, first of all, whom Yah has brought together to become one, and that leads us to the next step of one man, one woman. With, in the beginning, Adam was created, and Chava was created from Adam, so Adam and Eve. So one man, one woman. Okay? What we see here is one man, two women that are to be joined, that are joined together, but four women total that are bearing children, okay? So, Rachel envies Leah, her sister, says to Yaakov, give me children or else I die. Okay, she's having a pretty hard time here. And Yaakov gets angry and said, am I in Elohim's stead who has withheld from you the fruit of the womb? He's saying, is this my fault? Am I Elohim? Am I the one that dictates whether or not you're going to conceive? And then Rachel replies, behold, my maid Bilhah, go in unto her, and she shall bear on my knees. Okay, so as if the act were happening, Rachel were having children, but through Bilhah, her servant, that I may also have children by her. So she gives Yaakov Bilhah, her handmaid, and she conceives. The sons that come from Bilhah are Dan, which means judge, and that's Strong's H1835. And Rachel says, Elohim has judged me and has also heard my voice and has given me a son, Dan. And then she conceives and bears Naphtali, which means my wrestling. And that's Strong's 5321. And she says, with great wrestlings have I wrestled with my sister, and I have prevailed. Then Leah gives Yaakov her maid, Zilpah, all right, to be his woman. And Zilpah conceives and bears Gad, meaning to crowd upon. That's what God means. And that's Strong's H1464 and H1410. And that means a troop comes. Okay, God can mean a troop comes, okay, meaning to, or that's what she says, I'm sorry, to a troop comes. And God can mean to crowd upon. And then Asher means to be straight, blessed, or happy. Okay, and that's Strong's H833 and H836. Okay, and some of these names come from root words. That's why it's can be. Okay, they come from root words that have a meaning. And some of these concordance usages, that's what a concordance does, is how the words are used. So Strong's Concordance, they just state that this is Asher, a name of an Israelite, or two Israelites, or whatever. But then it has a root word too, okay? Just so we understand where we get the can mean that part. Okay, so now we have, how many with... We have 4 with Leah, and we have 2 with Bilhah, and 2 with Zilpah. So that's 8 right now, 8 children. Okay, and Reuben went in the days of the wheat harvest and found mandrakes in the field, and brought them unto his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, give me, I pray you, of your son's mandrakes. And she said unto her, is it a small matter that you have taken away my man? And would you also take away my son's mandrakes also? And Rachel said, therefore he shall lie with you tonight for your son's mandrakes. So I'll trade you a night with Yaakov. You can have Yaakov tonight if you just give me the mandrakes. All right. And we'll talk a little bit further on mandrakes in the coming weeks, because I did a little bit of research into mandrakes, and I want to do a little bit more, the significance of it, because it's stated very clearly these are mandrakes. Mandrakes are a root that is hallucinogenic. Okay, so like you'll dig up a mandrake. Mandrake also has a look of the root itself growing as a human being. And it's also stated in the writings around mandrakes and the usages of mandrakes is that they scream, okay, when you take them out of the ground, enough to where it kills a person. And if anybody has ever watched Harry Potter or read the books, that's one of the things that they teach in this incredibly dangerous series of books and movies. But in that storyline, they have mandrakes in there, and when you pull them out of the ground, they scream, and you got to be very careful because it'll kill you. But that's rooted in myth or tradition or whatever you want to call that. Okay. And Reuben's out gathering them, but they're hallucinogenic, and they're also used for kind of what we can call seance or witchcraft, things like that. Okay, so if you yourself do just a quick Google search for mandrakes, and you can see that. But here we have Reuben in the house of Yaakov going out and getting these hallucinogenic roots. Okay, and then Raquel says, "Hey, give me some of those." Give me those mandrakes. And Leah says, "Oh, you've taken I'm not going to give you that. Is it such a small thing that you've taken my man from me? Now you want to take my son's mandrakes? Because they are evidently hard to harvest, difficult to harvest." And she said, "Well, I'll just trade you then. Okay, you can have a night with Yaakov, and then I'll take the mandrakes." Okay, and mandrakes are also an aphrodisiac, used purportedly as an aphrodisiac. Okay. So verse 16, "And Yaakov came out of the field in the evening, and Leah went out to meet him and said, 'You must come in unto me, for surely I hired you with my son's mandrakes.' And he lay with her that night. And Elohim hearkened unto Leah, and she conceived and bore Yaakov a fifth son. And Leah said, Elohim has given me my hire, because I have given my maiden to my man, and she called his name Yishakar. And Leah conceived again and bore Yaakov a sixth son. And Leah said, Elohim has endued me with a good dowry. Now my man will dwell with me, because I have borne him 6 sons. And she called his name Zebulun. And afterwards she bore a daughter and called her name Dinah." Now, just even that, the naming of the children and the statements with them are very sad, because she loves or wants that. She wants the completeness of the relationship, and it's just not there. In these things that are occurring, there's still life coming from the actions between Yaakov and Leah, but the completeness of that relationship is just not there. So she has Yissachar, the 5th son, Leah's 5th son, and that means to bring a reward, and that's Strong's H3485. And she says, Elohim has given me my hire, because I have given my maiden to my man. And Zebulun means habitation, and that's Strong's H2074. And she says, Elohim has endued me with a good dowry. Now my man will dwell with me, because I have borne him 6 sons. And then she has Dinah. They have Dinah, and that means justice. Okay, and that's Strong's 1783, and that's the daughter. Okay, and then she will come in later here, justice, with her name meaning justice. Okay, and then verse 22, and Elohim remembered Raquel, and Elohim hearkened to her and opened her womb, and she conceived and bore a son, and said, Elohim has taken away my reproach. And she called his name Yosef, and said, YAHUAH shall add to me another son. Okay, Yosef. Yosef means let him add, and that's Strong's 3130. And she says, Elohim has taken away my reproach. And also says, YAHUAH shall add to me another son. And she will. I mean, he will. Adds, like, for her perspective, through her maiden, Bilhah, she has born in her eyes has born sons. But now she has, through her own body, okay, where the two have become one, and it seems that this is the two, okay, that is one with Rachel and Yaakov, but the life coming from the two is conceived and then made manifest in Yosef, and that means let him add. And Yosef is a central figure that we'll see towards the end of Bere'shiyth for the entire world. Okay, and then she says, YAHUAH add to me another son, which that does occur too. She will have another child. Okay, so let's continue on here with the end of what we're studying, and then we'll talk a little bit further. Verse 25, and it came to pass when Rachel had borne Yosef that Yaakov said unto Lavan, send me away that I may go unto my own place and to my own country. Give me my woman, my children, for whom I have served you, and let me go. For you know my service which I have done you. And Lavan said unto him, I pray you, if I have found favor in your eyes, tarry. For I have learned by experience that YAHUAH has blessed me for your sake. And he said, appoint me your wages, and I will give it. And he said unto him, you know, this is Yaakov now, you know how I have served you, and how your cattle was with me. For it was little which you had before I came, and it is now increased unto a multitude. And YAHUAH has blessed you since my coming. And now when shall I provide for my own house also? And he says, what shall I give you? And Yaakov says, you shall not give me anything. If you will do this thing for me, I will again feed and guard your flock. I will pass through all your flock today, removing from thence all the speckled and spotted cattle, and all the brown cattle among the sheep, and all the spotted and speckled among the goats, and of such shall be my hire. So shall my righteousness answer for me in time to come, when it shall come for my hire before your face. Everyone that is not speckled and spotted among the goats, and brown among the sheep, that shall be counted stolen with me. And Lavan said, behold, I would it might be according to your word. And he removed that day the he-goats that were ring-straked and spotted, all the she-goats that were speckled and spotted, and everyone that had some white in it, and all the brown among the sheep, and gave them into the hand of his sons. And he set 3 days' journey betwixt himself and Yaakov fed the rest of Laban's flocks. Okay, so, we have a picture here of, when we're talking about flocks, and we're talking about cattle and sheep here, we could also be looking at this as people groups, okay, people groups. Because I'm not literally a sheep, I follow my shepherd, who is YAHUAH, okay? I'm a person, and I'm part of a larger group of people who are of his flock, which are the called out assembly, okay, the called out group or the called out flock, hearkening to the voice of our shepherd. Okay, so we can look here in the same manner with the cattle and the sheep. Okay, and the ones that are taken for Yaakov. Okay, Yaakov is going to then become Yasharel, or the upright of El, and we see Lavan here as being in his household, in his land, with his customs, with under his charge, his control in a lot of cases here. Because Lavan has it seems that Lavan has a larger amount of control over Yaakov. Okay, to where Yaakov is just accepting the things that are occurring that Lavan, his uncle, is doing, okay, for deception, both with hire, okay, with things here, because he had to work, ended up 14 years, double the time, to get what was agreed upon, this person, okay, but to earn the right to marry his daughter, it wasn't so much as I'm trading my daughter for your work, it's earning the right to marry or to take Rachel as his woman. And that was given by deception. Okay, Leah was given in her stead, and then he had to work another 7 years to earn the right to Rachel. All right, but that was all dictated by Lavan. So those that follow in that household of deception, right? They're speaking the words of guile, okay, deceit, versus those who are in the household of Yaakov, all right, as we're going to see as time goes on here, that will speak the truth, okay, the way of YAHUAH, the words of YAHUAH. All right, so verse 37, and Yaakov took him rods of green poplar and of hazel and chestnut tree, and pilled white stakes in them, and made the white appear, which was in the rods. And he set the rods, which he had pilled before the flocks in the gutters, in the watering troughs, when the flocks came to drink, that they should conceive when they came to drink. And the flocks conceived before the rods, and brought forth cattle ring-straked, speckled, and spotted. And Yaakov did separate the lambs, and set the faces of the flocks towards the ring-straked, and all the brown in the flock of Lavan. And he put his own flocks by themselves, and put them not into Lavan's cattle. And it came to pass, whensoever the stronger cattle did conceive, that Yaakov laid the rods before the eyes of the cattle in the gutters, that they might conceive among the rods. But when the cattle were feeble, he put them in not so. So the feebler were Lavan's, and the stronger were Yaakov's. And the man increased exceedingly, and had much cattle, and maidservants, and menservants, and camels, and asses. Okay, so he was using a method that the cattle would, the cattle and the sheep would conceive to where they would be the colors that were agreed upon. Okay, so forgive me anything. I'll do things. I'll guard your flock. So what Lavan would get as far as for Yaakov guarding and feeding the entire flock, okay, which would be Lavan's, and then what Yaakov would get out of Lavan's flock, Lavan would get all the speckled and spotted cattle and all the brown cattle among the sheep, and the spotted and speckled among the goats, and of such shall be my hire. Okay, so shall my righteousness answer for me in time to come, when it shall come for my hire before your face, everyone that is not speckled and spotted among the goats, and brown among the sheep, that shall be counted stolen with me. Okay, so shall my righteousness answer for me in time to come, when it shall come for my hire before your face, everyone that is not speckled and spotted among the goats, and brown among the sheep, that shall be counted stolen with me. So I had it backwards, I apologize. So all the brown and flecked and ring-straked and spotted would be Yaakov, and everyone that is not speckled and spotted among the goats and brown among the sheep shall be counted stolen. So that's Lavan's. Okay. So, but he had a method that would be set up to when they would come, and it was all done by rods, stakes in the ground, by the watering troughs that would have pilled white stakes in them, okay, which made white appear, which was in the rods. So that method is what would cause the animals to conceive the brown, speckled, and spotted amongst the goats and cattle and sheep, okay, and that would be Yaakov's. And he would take the strong and breed them, and the weak and feeble, he would not breed them. Okay? And then he became rich, okay, has much cattle, maidservants, manservants, and asses. Okay, had a lot of stuff there. Okay, so we're going to stop in the Parsha there. We're not going to talk more about that particular part of it. We're going to focus back on the relationship here. Because when we learn the Torah, we should always be looking at how does this fit into our lives today. Okay, so we're looking in Bere'shiyth, all right, in the beginning in Genesis, and we're seeing, the history of how the Messiah came into this world. Okay, so we get from the very beginning of creation to a point where the creation chose their own way and to walk contrary to the way of YAHUAH. And they were expelled out of paradise, okay, the place of completeness, a place of comfort, okay, Eden. And then into the world of toil and sadness and death. And then the world changed over a period of roughly 2,000 years to where wickedness was on every thought of the creation, okay? And YAHUAH did not recognize it anymore. And so he renewed the world, all right, through the flood. But the entire time there was a path from what we're seeing here as a birthright, which is actually the Torah, okay, the way of YAHUAH, that goes down from Adam to Seth, and then Seth to Noah, okay? And then Noah and those eight, Noah and 7 others, survived the flood through the guidance of YAHUAH, and then carried that birthright, passed that to Shem. Shem passed that to Abraham, Abraham to Yitzhak, and Yitzhak to Yaakov. And then it was lost for a little bit. Well, it wasn't lost, excuse me. Yaakov passed that to Levi, okay, to Levi, as far as carrying the way of YAHUAH. And then it was kind of lost for a little bit. And then Moshe, raises up Moshe, who then takes the descendants of who we're learning about, these being born right now, up out of Mitzrayim, okay, out of Egypt, out of the world, all right, pulled them out of the world and created a people, all right, out of a people. And it happened in a day, okay, and a moment at the end of that final plague, then they were pulled out and allowed, but given away by Pharaoh, okay, to leave Mitzrayim. And this is during the Exodus. And Moshe then was given the way of YAHUAH from YAHUAH, and then tasked with teaching Yeshurun, okay, how to follow the way of YAHUAH, or the Torah, his instructions. And then that was lost again to us, okay, because it was corrupted. It was either not done at all, or it was intermixed, okay, so it was corrupted by the way of human beings. And Yeshurun, okay, was taken into captivity because they were divorced, okay? Because what was really lacking here was an understanding of the relationship. When Yah entered or gave his way to his group of people, he entered into a covenant. It's called a Bere'shiyth, or we see it as Brit. But they entered into an agreement where if it's not followed, death is the consequence to it, okay? So we're making a promise, and if we don't follow through with our promise, then the consequence of us not following through with that is death. And that's why everything is ratified, you can call it ratified, with, or consummated with blood, okay? And so death is the what we deserve, okay? That's kind of how I have always been taught in the churches, that we deserve death for our actions, for sin, okay? But really what's occurring there is that we are stating that we are the upright of Yashurun. Yashurun has an agreement, okay? A relationship agreement with YAHUAH. And that relationship agreement is laid out that we will be holy as he is holy. We will follow his way, and this is his way, okay? The Torah that's given through Moshe. And that we will conform ourselves to that, to be in his image. That way we can be together at the end. And if we don't do that, that will result in death. Okay, that's the agreement, that's the covenant, all right? And throughout time, that covenant was never really honored. And if we read, once we study the way of Yah, it was never really honored. and the relationship was never really there. Okay, it was never cleaved together where we would be one, or yakad, beloved one, with YAHUAH. Okay, like we are together with our significant others. All right, when we come in unto the other, we are joined where two flesh become one. When we have our relationship with YAHUAH, it's a spiritual relationship where we become yakad, or one, together. So that never really was there. Okay. We can see it with certain people that Yah stood up in a sense, okay, the prophets, but as a whole, okay, the group of Yasharel, the upright of El, was never really Yakad, okay, or beloved with YAHUAH. And by consequence, they were divorced, okay, they were divorced. And we get that in Jeremiah 3, right? So now we're going to start walking through the word here. Jeremiah 3, we'll start here on chapter 3, verse 1. It said, "They say, if a man put away his woman, and she go from him, and become another man's, shall he return to her again? Shall not that land be greatly polluted? But you have played the harlot with many lovers, yet return again to me," says YAHUAH. Okay, so it's in his way that if we divorce, okay, in the Torah, okay, the Torah given to Moshe, is that if we divorce somebody, if we put somebody away, a woman away, I'm a man, put my woman away, and she goes to another man and becomes his, and either the man dies or is put away, I cannot marry, I can't go back into or unto that woman, okay, to my first wife, all right? And he says, and if a man, they say, if a man put away his woman and she go from him and becomes another man's, shall he return to her again? Shall not that land be greatly polluted? But you have played the harlot with many lovers, yet return again to me, says YAHUAH. Okay? So that relationship that we have then, physical, is also the same relationship, or spiritual, with YAHUAH. And Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 2, it says, "Lift up your eyes unto the high places, and see where you have not been lain with. In the ways have you sat for them, as the aviary in the wilderness, and you have polluted the land with your whoredoms and with your wickedness. Therefore the showers have been withheld, and there has been no latter rain, and you had a whore's forehead. You refused to be ashamed. Will you not from this time cry unto me, my Father? You are the guide of my youth. Will he reserve his anger forever? Will he keep it until the end? Behold, you have spoken and done evil things as you could. YAHUAH said also unto me in the days of Yoshiahu the king, have you seen that which backsliding Yasharel has done? She has gone up upon every high mountain and under every green tree, and there has played the harlot. And I said, after she had done all these things, turn you unto me, but she returned not. And her treacherous sister YAHUAH saw it. And I saw, when for all the causes whereby backsliding Yasharel broke wedlock, I had put her away, and given her a sefer of divorce. Yet her treacherous sister YAHUAH feared not, and went and played the harlot also. And it came to pass, through the lightness of her whoredom, that she defiled the land, and broke wedlock with stones and with stocks. And yet, for all this, her treacherous sister YAHUAH has not returned unto me with her whole heart, but feignedly, says YAHUAH. And YAHUAH said unto me, the backsliding Yasharel has justified herself more than treacherous YAHUAH. Okay? So Yasharel, the 10 tribes, were carried off, okay, into the nations because of their behavior. All right? Calls whoredom here. All right, whoredom, which is committing adultery. All right, so they committed adultery spiritually by falling after the lusts of the flesh. Okay, so other Elohim that their fathers did not know. That's how it's put here to us. But it's breaking the relationship. They broke the relationship with YAHUAH. Okay, the covenant or the Bere'shiyth, the Brit. They broke that. And by doing so, they chose the way that is contrary to YAHUAH. They chose that way, and because of that choice, YAHUAH allowed that. As in, you want to be as the nations, you will be as the nations. You will no longer be my set apart in my set apart land. And took them out. And then Yehudah, okay, the southern tribes, okay, in this portion, this borders of the nations, saw the same thing, but did the same. Saw what happened to Yashua, but did the same things, and then were also taken away into captivity, but then came back. Okay, came back to the land, but they returned not with a whole heart, but faintedly. And YAHUAH says, backsliding Yashua has justified herself more than treacherous Yehudah. Okay, but he had given a sefer of divorce, okay, to Yasharel, sefer of divorce. So at that point, there was no coming back into relationship per the Torah, okay, per his instructions for his set apart people. Okay, so let's go ahead here. About divorce, okay? Let's go to Mattiyahu, and let's get to the words of the fullness of the Torah, okay, the completeness. The one who is sent to show us how to be Yasharel, okay, how to be holy as Yah is holy, okay, through Yahushua, the Messiah, HaMashiach. So chapter 19 in Besorah Mattiyahu, Gospel of Matthew, verse 1, and it came to pass that when Yahushua had finished these sayings, he departed from Galilee and came into the coasts of Yahud beyond the Yarden. And great multitudes followed him, and he healed them there. The Parashim also came unto him, tempting him, and saying unto him, Is it lawful for a man to put away his woman for every cause? And he answered and said unto them, Have ye not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female? And said, For this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his woman, that two shall be one flesh. Wherefore they are no more two, but one flesh. What therefore Yah has joined together, let not man put asunder. And they say unto him, Why did Moshe then command to give a writing of divorcement and put her away? And Yahushua, he says unto them, Moshe, because of the hardness of your hearts, suffered you to put away your woman. But from the beginning it was not so. And I say unto you, Whosoever shall put away his woman, except it be for fornication, and shall marry another, breaks wedlock. And whoso marries her, which is put away, breaks wedlock. Okay, so he says, have you not read in the beginning that they were made male and female, and said, For this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his woman, and they shall be one flesh. Wherefore they are no more two, but one flesh. What therefore Yah has joined together, let not man put asunder. And they said unto them, Well, why did Moshe then? Because this is what we just talked about, is that in the Torah, that if somebody is divorced, they cannot come back together again. That's in the Torah, given through Moshe. And they say, well, why did Moshe then command to give a writing of divorcement and put her away? And Yahushua says unto them, Well, Moshe, because of the hardness of your hearts, the desires of the people, what the people wanted, suffered you to put away your woman. Okay? So this is something that was put in place because of the choices of the people. But from the beginning, it was not so. And we have that when Adam made in the likeness of YAHUAH and Chava, Eve, made out of man. Okay, the two that were made from the one flesh that come back together to be one flesh. And I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his woman, except it be for fornication, and shall marry another, breaks wedlock. And whoso marries her which is put away, breaks wedlock. Okay, so why then do we have this command in the Torah to that goes in the contrary with the what these words are saying. YAHUAH, who has the spirit of Elohim on him, okay, the light of the world, the fullness of the Torah, why then is he saying something that's contrary to what's given in the Torah? Well, let's go to Ezekiel chapter 20, and let's read 1 through 26. And it came to pass in the 7th year, in the 5th month, the 10th day of the month, that certain of the elders of Yasharel came to inquire YAHUAH of YAHUAH, and sat before me. Then came the word of YAHUAH unto me, saying, Son of Adam, speak unto the elders of Yasharel, and say unto them, Thus says Adonai YAHUAH, Are ye come to inquire of me? As I live, says Adonai YAHUAH, I will not be inquired of by you. Will you judge them, son of Adam? Will you judge them? Cause them to know the abominations of their fathers. And say unto them, Thus says Adonai YAHUAH, In the day when I chose Yasharel, and lifted up my hand unto the seed of the house of Yaakov, and made myself known unto them in the land of Mitzrayim, when I lifted up my hand unto them, saying, I am YAHUAH Elohim. In the day that I lifted up my hand unto them, to bring them forth of the land of Mitzrayim into a land that I had espied for them, flowing with milk and honey, which is the glory of all lands. Then I said unto them, Cast ye away every man the abominations of his eyes, and defile not yourself with the idols of Mitzrayim. I am YAHUAH Elohim. But they rebelled against me, and would not hearken unto me. They did not every man cast away the abominations of their eyes, neither did they forsake the idols of Mitzrayim. Then I said, I will pour out my fury upon them, to accomplish my anger against them in the midst of the land of Mitzrayim. But I wrought for my name's sake, that it should not be polluted before the heathen, among whom they were, in whose sight I made myself known unto them, in bringing them forth out of the land of Mitzrayim. Wherefore I caused them to go forth out of the land of Mitzrayim, and brought them into the wilderness. And I gave them my statutes, and showed them my judgments, which if a man shall do, he shall even live in them. Moreover, also I gave them my Shabbaoth, to be a sign between me and them, that they might know that I am YAHUAH, that sanctify them. Gave them the Shabbaoth to be a sign between him and us, okay? That they might know that I am YAHUAH, that sanctifies them. He sanctifies us. But the house of Yasharel rebelled against me in the wilderness. They walked not in my statutes, and they despised my judgments, which if a man do, he shall even live in them. And my Shabbaoth they greatly polluted. Then I said, I will pour out my fury upon them in the wilderness to consume them. But I wrought for my own name's sake, that it should not be polluted before the heathen, in whose sight I brought them out. Yet also I lifted up my hand unto them in the wilderness, that I would not bring them into the land which I had given them, flowing with milk and honey, which is the glory of all lands, because they despised my judgments, and walked not in my statutes, but polluted my Shabbaoth, for their heart went after their idols. Nevertheless, my eye spared them from destroying them, neither did I make an end to them in the wilderness. But I said unto their children in the wilderness, Walk ye not in the statutes of your fathers, neither observe their judgments, nor defile yourselves with their idols. I am YAHUAH Elohim. Walk in my statutes, and guard my judgments, and do them, and hallow my Shabbaoth. And they shall be a sign between me and you, and ye may know that I am YAHUAH Elohim. Notwithstanding, the children rebelled against me. They walked not in my statutes, neither guarded my judgments to do them, which if a man do, he shall even live in them. They polluted my Shabbaoths. Then I said, I will pour out my fury upon them, to accomplish my anger against them in the wilderness. Nevertheless, I withdrew my hand, and wrought for my name's sake, that it should not be polluted in the sight of the heathen, in whose sight I brought them forth. I lifted up my hand unto them also in the wilderness, that I would scatter them among the heathen, and disperse them through the countries, because they had not executed my judgments, but had despised my statutes, and had polluted my Shabbaoths, and their eyes were after their fathers' idols. Wherefore I gave them also statutes that were not good, and judgments whereby they should not live. And I polluted them in their own gifts, and that they caused to pass through the fire all that opens the womb, that I might make them desolate to the end, that they might know that I am YAHUAH. Okay, so because of the spiritual direction, so what Yasharol, these people who were called to be different from the heathen, different in the way of YAHUAH, sanctified by YAHUAH, okay, made complete, okay, or holy or pure, complete by YAHUAH, they still chose the way of the world, okay, the way of the flesh, the lusts of the flesh, what they wanted. And they walked contrary. They did not walk in the statutes of YAHUAH and guard his judgments and do them, and did not guard the Sabbaths, okay? The Sabbaths, the Shabbaoths, the Sabbaths. And that the Sabbath is a sign between us and him, okay? Same things are occurring today. Same exact things are occurring today, okay? Nothing different. Because that's the way of what's said here is the heathen, okay? Or the unbeliever, all right? So that's what was occurring then is still happening today because we're in the nations, all right? We're in amongst the unbeliever, and we were the unbeliever, okay? That's where we came out of, for whatever capacity. Whether you worshipped in a church or you worshipped in a bank, okay, if you worship money, if you worship science, okay, all those things like that, politics, governments, whatever, that's the way of the nations, the way of the heathen, the way of the Gentile, okay, the way of the Goyim, the unbeliever. And that's who we were. We were all that. That's what we did, okay? But we don't do that anymore, all right? We see that. And we also see here that he gave them statutes that were not good and judgments whereby they should not live, all right? And we just read Yahushua speaking that Moses suffered, I think I took my bookmark out. Moses suffered that you should have, because of the hardness of your heart, suffered you to put away your women, but from the beginning it was not so. And I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his woman, except it be for fornication, and shall marry another, breaks wedlock. And whoso marries her, which is put away, breaks wedlock. Okay, well, why is that important to us now? I mean, we have divorce. I'm familiar with divorce. You know, he said, if anything, anything except for fornication, except to be for fornication. And we read where Yasharol was put away for fornication, for spiritual adultery. Okay, playing the harlot, having a forehead of a whore is what it says. All right, but spiritual adultery, spiritual fornication. Okay, going against Yah, walking contrary, following after Elohim that their fathers did not know, and they did not know. Okay. So he says, well, whosoever put his woman, except to be for fornication, shall marry another, breaks wedlock. And whoso marries her, which is put away, also breaks wedlock. Well, it's important now to us because we were divorced. We just read in Jeremiah that we were divorced. And that we can't come back in. Okay? But now we have the fullness here, the completeness of the Torah, telling us that in the beginning it was not so. Let's go to Romans chapter 7, verse 1. He says, know ye not, brethren, for I speak to them that know the Torah, how that the Torah has dominion over a man as long as he lives. For the woman which has a man is bound by that mitzvah to her man so long as he lives, but if the man be dead, she is loosed from that mitzvah of her man. So then if, while her man lives, she be married to another man, she shall be a woman that breaks wedlock. But if her man be dead, she is free of that mitzvah, so that she is no breaker of wedlock, though she be married to another man. Wherefore, my brethren, ye also are become dead to that mitzvah by the body of Mashiach, so that ye should be married to another, even to him who is raised from the dead, that we should bring forth fruit unto Yah. Okay, so it's important to us now that the mitzvah, the command, okay, the commandment, that as long as the man lives, then that woman is bound to that man. But if that man dies, then she's loosed from that because he's no longer in this world. The Torah has dominion over a man as long as he lives. So when Mashiach died, okay, he was the propitiation for our sin, okay, one time. And then he rose again, so that we can now enter back into that marriage. So he says, wherefore, my brethren, ye also are become dead to that mitzvah by the body of Mashiach, that you should be married to another, even to him who is raised from the dead, that we should bring forth fruit unto YAHUAH. Okay, so we can enter back into that relationship and cleave or join together, okay, as man and woman, to become one flesh. The two flesh become one flesh. Now we can enter back in to become one spiritually with YAHUAH, Yachad with YAHUAH. Okay, so Yahusha prays and speaks about this in the Garden of Gethsemane before he is taken, okay, in YAHUAH chapter 17. And he says a prayer to YAHUAH to look after his Talmudim, okay, and then those who will believe on him, okay. So we can start here we'll start in John chapter 17, verse 1. It said, these words spoke Yahusha, and lifted up his eyes to heaven, and said, Father, the hour is come. Glorify your Son, that the Son may also glorify you, as you have given him power over all flesh, that he should give eternal life to as many as you have given him. And this is life eternal, that they might know you, the only true Yah, and Yahushua HaMashiach, who you have sent. I have glorified you on earth. I have finished the work which you gave me to do. And now, O Father, glorify me with your own self, with the glory which I had with you before the world was. I have manifested your name unto men, which you gave me out of the world. Yours they were, and you gave them to me, and they have guarded your word. Now they have known that all things whatsoever you have given me are of you. For I have given unto them the words which you gave me, and they have received them, and have known surely that I came out from you, and they have believed that you did send me. I pray for them. I pray not for the world, but I pray for them which you have given me, for they are yours. And all mine are yours, and yours are mine, and I am glorified in them. And now I am no more in the world, but these are in the world, and I come to you. Holy Father, guard them by your name, the same name which you have given me, that they may be Yachad as we are, or beloved one. Okay, joined in unity is what a note I have here, one with Yah. Okay, it might be Yachad, as we are. While I was with them in the world, I guarded them in your name. Those that you gave me I have kept, and none of them were lost, but the son of perdition, that the scripture might be fulfilled. And now I come to you, and these things I speak in the world, that they might have my joy fulfilled in themselves. I have given them your word, and the world has hated them, because they are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. I pray not that you should take them out of the world, but that you should guard them from the evil. They are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. Sanctify them through your truth. Your word is truth. As you have sent me into the world, even so have I sent them into the world. And for their sakes I sanctify myself, that they also may be sanctified through the truth. Neither pray I for these alone, but for them also which shall believe on me through their word, that they all may be Yachad, or one, unity, beloved one, as you, Father, are in me, and I in you, that they may also be Yachad in us, that the world may believe that you have sent me, and the glory which you gave me I have given them, that they may be Yachad, even as we are Yachad. I in them, and you in me, that they may be made perfect in one, and that the world may know that you have sent me, and have loved them as you have loved me. Father, I will that they also whom you have given me be with me where I am, that they may behold my glory which you have given me. For you loved me before the foundation of the world. O righteous Father, The world has not known you, but I have known you. And these have known that you have sent me. And I have declared unto them your name, and will declare it, that the love wherewith you have loved me may be in them, and I in them. So we become one spirit. Okay? One in spirit. Yahad. Okay? Just as our physical relationships, where the two flesh become one, the two spirits become one. Yahad with YAHUAH, Yahusha. Okay, so Yahusha was loved from the foundation of the world. We have been called from the foundation of the world. Okay, but we still have choice. It's our choice. We have this information and we are expected, once we know it, to do it. Okay, to execute it. So whether or not it's to stop doing something or to start doing something. Okay, that's the expectation here. So we can take that information, even though we have been called, because we can hear him. But it's whether or not we are answering that call. Okay, so we have choice. Now, to go back then and to finish out here with our relationships that we're seeing with Yaakov and Leah and Rachel, and then Bilhah and Zilpah. There, in the beginning, it was not so. All right, so now we have two wives, in a sense, for women. When man was created, humans were created, Adam, our man, was made in the image of YAHUAH. Chava, or Eve, was made from Adam. And the two come together physically. They cleave together to make one, and life, all right? Life is conceived when that occurs, all right? Our relationships, the one with as one, Yahad, now through the marriage of us, the bride, with the Lamb, Yahushua HaMashiach, when he rose again from the dead, we are now entering back into our relationship, our covenant, our agreement, through Yahushua HaMashiach. Okay? Back to YAHUAH through Yahushua, our door. That brings us back to one spiritually. Okay? So just like we cleave and come together with our significant others, whether it's my wife, or if you're a woman, your husband, okay, your two physically become one, and life is conceived. And the same thing occurs spiritually. When our Ruach and his, when we come back together, life is conceived spiritually. We live, okay? And we read several places here where that's only achieved when we do repent and we turn back to be holy, are set apart as he is holy, sanctified through his word. He is the one that sanctifies us. So we follow him, but we follow him out of love. Now, if we can picture love now, all right, through the significant other. You know, Yaakov loved Rachel, the words were hated, Leah. And Leah really wanted him, did everything. It's very sad to see that. Now my man will love me, okay? But the love was intended for Rachel, okay? That's where the love was. And when the two came together, they were also joined in a different way. Although life still came from Leah, Zilpah, and Bilhah, Rachel, it took time. Okay, and it's actually two sons. And the second son, she dies. So, our relationships today, this conversation doesn't really have anything to do with divorce in the sense of whether or not you should be doing it. Now we know if we follow Yah, the way of YAHUAH, except for sexual immorality, we do not divorce. Okay? Fornication. We have to be clear, though, that Yahushua tells us that even if we think lustful thoughts of others, we are committing adultery in the Ruach. Okay, our heart is breaking that relationship, our spiritual connection with a person. Okay, with the two flesh coming one, then we also have a connection there that we call love, right? That's also being broken. And it's also breaking the connection, that spiritual love, that spiritual connection with Yah, through Yahusha. Okay, it's breaking that. He tells us not to do that. So everything then relates into us today with our spiritual orientation. Okay, we love our partner. And because we love our partner, we want to cleave or become one with our partner, Yah, through Yahusha HaMashiach, the Messiah. And because we love him, we live the way that he instructs us, which is to be as him, so that we can be together as one, Yachad. So, if you love me, you'll keep my commands, and then I will come and me and my Father will come and make our home with you. We will be one. Okay, so I hope that this gives us all a larger understanding of the relationship, especially as it was given to us by YAHUAH through Yahusha HaMashiach. Okay, the relationship and what it truly means for us. All right, we cleave if you're married. Okay, if you're married and you cleave to your wife or your husband, you are becoming one. Okay, you are two independent physical bodies, and then you are coming together as one. You are joined together, and then that potential for life will then be conceived. Okay, the same thing is occurring spiritually for us through our door, through our opportunity of Yahusha HaMashiach to be Yachad with YAHUAH spiritually. Okay, so I hope that this portion of the Torah has blessed you as it has blessed me, and I know that I will be reflecting on this more as my day goes on today. And I hope you have a wonderful day today, and we'll be back here tomorrow to continue on with Parashah Vayetze with our daily brief. Thank you.